Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And before we jump into it, I just wanted to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I am and you are today, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and future. Welcome to the 𝗂𝗏 information session, and thank you to everyone kind of registered and has joined this morning. So today I'm going to run you through a little bit of context behind the 𝗂𝗏 program, a little bit about what it actually is and involves, some of the application process and timelines, and then some of the frequently asked questions that we have already received. If you've got questions as we go, feel free to pop them into the chat. I'll try and answer them as we go, but I can't promise I will, but I will get to them all at the end. So before we jump too far, for those that I haven't met, my name's Elle Phillips. I'm the head of startup development at LaunchVic, and I'm the program lead for 𝗂𝗏. So why and kind of what is 𝗂𝗏? The background behind 𝗂𝗏 really came from a bunch of consultations with the Victorian startup ecosystem. And there's a whole bunch of challenges, which I'm telling the people who have the challenges what they are. So I don't need to go into too much detail, but some of them are around kind of limited opportunities for professional development, fragmented peer communities, inconsistent and funding and changing priorities that make it difficult to launch or sustain programs over the long term. And these apply to all program managers, universities, private, MRIs, everyone kind of has these challenges. And so that's where 𝗂𝗏 was born, as a way to help to address this and provide a professional development for program managers. So at a really high level, the 𝗂𝗏 program will include practical support across all stages of program design and delivery. There will be peer coaching, expert facilitation, curated resource libraries, connection to a community of peers and experts in similar roles. You'll also come out as a recognised LaunchVic endorsed program leader, and you'll have access to LaunchVic's professional network, which I can touch on a little bit later, but that's something that is open more broadly as well. So the program itself is for program managers and it spans over 7 months. We've designed it very intentionally this way for a few reasons. One, we know that you're all incredibly busy, so we want to try and make it as kind of light touch as we can along the way. And two is, in an ideal world, you'll be actively running a program, so you can apply these learnings as you go through. And if you're not actively running, you'll be actively designing. So hopefully this gives you enough time to kind of put this into place. As far as program components, there are a couple of elements. One is the full day program days. So there are 2 of these right up front on the 13th and 14th of October, one a couple of weeks after at the end of October, and then one to kind of cap the program to end the program in May next year. So in day 1 and 2, we'll be setting the foundations for what a world-class program looks like, building our own commitments for the program and what, as participants, you would like to achieve through 𝗂𝗏, deep diving on founder toolkits and kind of starting to think about how we measure and communicate program outcomes to all of our stakeholders. In day 3, we've then kind of stepped back and put programs in the context of the broader ecosystem and thinking about kind of who the stakeholders are, how we might work together with your cohort and the broader community as well. When we come back together at day 4, and I'll come to kind of all the bits in the middle in a second, it's all about reflecting, integrating those learnings, bringing some of the feedback from the program that you've hopefully run or been designing, and kind of plan for the next iteration. In the middle, these white dots, which are now green on this slide, we have a series of masterclasses. So these are every 3-ish weeks, and we've rotated the days of them so that it's a bit more accessible. If you've always got a program day on a Tuesday, you're not going to have to miss every single masterclass. The idea of these is that you have to attend a minimum of 4 to be able to graduate from the 𝗂𝗏 program, but you can pick and choose the ones that are most relevant to you and your challenges as a program manager. So some of the topics range from kind of program vision, design principles, through to the tools and operations side, right down to kind of events, facilitation, how to support deep tech startups and spin-outs. And I realized that one of these is kind of jumped over a line, so they don't quite line up with the dates anymore, sorry, but it's all in the guidelines if you want to kind of cross-check it. Each of these masterclasses will be about a half day. We'll scale them slightly up or down as needed for the actual content. And there'll be a mix of online and in person, which based on the cohort that we end up with, we can kind of adjust which ones are which. So that's the masterclasses. And then kind of wrapped around the program days and the masterclasses, we have a whole bunch of other elements. So we'll be doing onboarding calls before the program just to make sure you have everything you need and are ready to go. There'll be a kickoff celebration after day one so that we can all kind of bond as a cohort and start to build those connections and peer advisory groups. You'll get 10 hours at least of one-on-one coaching. That consists of a couple parts. So one will be kind of monthly check-ins with a dedicated coach who will kind of know you and your program quite intimately and be able to work through specific challenges with you. But we will also have opportunity for mentoring in specific topics should you need it as well. We'll also be helping to facilitate peer group check-ins to kind of give you that small support group within your broader cohort to work through as you go through the program. There'll be access to resources, which some of them we have planned and some of them will be very much tailored to the needs of the cohort as we go through the program. And then finally, the final showcase presentation back to the cohort in the ecosystem is kind of an opportunity for you to show the progress of your program, a little bit of a marketing tool as well. We can set it up to have the right people in the room based on the needs of the cohort. And it's an opportunity to bring your team, your broader team from your program into Nova as well. So the eligibility and how do I get inside of it? So to be eligible for this particular cohort, you need to be Victorian. So you need to be based personally in Victoria. You need to have an active program. We have defined that as either actively running or in the process of designing and having a secured kind of launch date and funding for that. And it needs to be a pre-accelerator or accelerator program for startups. So not just any program, specifically we're looking for startup support programs. The program itself that you're running does also need to be Victorian, and we've defined, there's a little bit of flex in this in that you don't have to have 100% of participants Victorian, but we're looking for at least 80% of your program participants are Victorian based. And then we do want executive or leadership support given the time commitment of Nova to make sure that you're able to commit to that full kind of 7-month-long program. Now, when you apply, and you'll see this in the application form, if you don't yet have that executive or leadership support, we do ask that you have it by the end of the interview period, which I can come to, but there is a box you can tick to say you're in the process of getting that as well. And I should also call out, because I know there will be some on this call who are kind of solo operators. If that's the case and kind of you are your executive or leadership support, you can write a kind of letter stating such or leave a note there as well. But we are looking for that commitment then that you're planning to put the time aside to attend. So these are all in the guidelines. I'm not going to go into the definitions too much, but I think the ones to call out, the program manager is a professional who designs and delivers pre-accelerator or accelerator programs, supporting startups or commercialization of research. You can kind of come from anywhere, but you need to be running one of those programs. And by running, we really mean having enough, I guess, day-to-day influence to be able to make changes and implement the learnings of Nova, as opposed to kind of having one very niche set of responsibilities, if that makes sense. And again, those programs do need to be startup programs, and we're following LaunchVic standard definition of a startup for this one. Hopefully you're all familiar with what a pre-accelerator, accelerator, etc. are, but there are more details on those in the guidelines if needed as well. So, application process. Applications are already open. They opened just under a week ago today, or it was a week ago today at 5 p.m. We're currently in the information session, and applications will close at 1 p.m. on the 1st of September. So you've got about 2 more weeks. We will then be doing a reasonably quick turnaround process from applications closed to decision. So during that week, we will be shortlisting applicants, and by the Friday afternoon, which is the 5th of September, we will be inviting shortlisted applicants for an interview. Those interviews will be held on the following Monday and Tuesday, so the 8th and the 9th of September, and it will be a 15-minute interview. You'll get to kind of pick your slot within those days. And if you are shortlisted and the times don't work, we can have a conversation about that as well, but that's the block of time that we've got aside. And then we'll make our decisions and whatnot internally, and over the kind of coming few weeks, 15th to 24th of September, we'll be notifying applicants and starting to contract or send out offer letters to those applicants. That then gives you a couple of weeks to kind of make sure that everything's in order for you to be able to take the time off as needed to actually attend the program before we kick off on the 13th of October. So I'll spend a little bit of time just going through kind of what we're looking for in the application process and the selection criteria. So the application form is through Smarty Grants, and it's a reasonably short form. So hopefully it doesn't consume a ton of time for all of you, but we're looking for a couple factors. One is your capacity to participate. Two is kind of the need that you're able to demonstrate and our assessment of whether we can support in that. Three is your professional goals. So you as a program manager, what are you kind of looking to achieve? Four is this commitment to peer learning, which is a big part of the NOVA program. So we'll be bringing in global experts, but we're also looking to the cohort to be able to share amongst each other and learn from each other. So we're looking for kind of a clear commitment to that. And five is the cohort mix. So kind of in light of the commitment to peer learning and the cohort build-up, we do want to make sure that the cohort makes sense. Hopefully that's not something unsurprising as I'm talking to a bunch of program managers yourselves. So making sure that that cohort kind of makes sense as a whole, and we have a reasonably diverse group of people who can provide different perspectives and insights as well. So if I go through each of those criteria quickly, the first one, capacity to participate, I think is reasonably self-explanatory, but it's essentially our assessment that you're going to be able to attend all of the core activities and implement the ideas between program days. So we don't want you to just be able to show up on day 1, day 2, day 3. We want to be able to see that you'll be able to kind of actually do something with those learnings on the off time. We do require in the assessment form as well for you to kind of let us know if there are program days you're not able to attend. Doesn't automatically make you ineligible or anything like that, but obviously it will weigh into this criteria. Then demonstrated need and LaunchVic assessment of support. So this is really kind of, are you at a point in your program design and delivery where we can support and where this kind of sort of structured program will help? So here we're looking to understand your program and the timings, details of your cohort and the mix of participants and startups you support, the strategy for your program over the next 2 to 5 years, or sooner if that's kind of the time frame that you're looking at, and some of the current challenges that you're facing in delivering that strategy. So again, this will be a written piece, and we'll assess based on kind of how much we believe we can provide value to you through NOVA. Then the third and fourth ones, so professional goals, basically, what's your past experience? What are your future goals? Does this help you in that journey, bridging that gap? And then the commitment to peer learning, which I've already kind of covered a little bit, is really, are you going to be able to kind of contribute to that environment, and are you willing to kind of share learnings as much as learn from others? Finally, the cohort mix. This is really about making sure that we've got, like I said, the right kind of variety and diversity of cohort, and that everyone's got that unique perspective to be able to bring. So we're looking to understand what you are looking to bring to the cohort in this particular criteria. So that's all the selection criteria. And again, most of this is or all of this is in the guidelines. So if you want a little bit more detail, you'll be able to go through it there. I feel like I've zoomed through that reasonably quickly. So if you do have questions, pop them in the chat. There's a couple of FAQs that we've already received, which I'll go through now. But while I do that, pop your questions in. First one is, I'm based outside of Victoria. Can I still apply? Unfortunately, for this cohort, our criteria is that you do need to be based in Victoria. If you'd like to sign up for updates, we may or may not look at this for future cohorts, but for this cohort in particular, you do need to be based in Victoria. We also had the clarification of whether this program's for me or for my program and organisation. So this program is for you as an individual. It's professional development for you. You don't bring your whole team through as such, which I'll answer my third question as I go on this one. So you don't bring your whole team through, but we do ask that you're able to actually apply your learnings to your program. So you do need, it's for your organisation in that it will help your organisation, but it is you individually that comes through. In terms of whether you can bring your team along, it's absolutely to the showcase event and any of those kind of big pieces along the way. We are looking at whether some of the masterclasses might be able to be opened up more broadly, but this isn't kind of guaranteed or anything at this point. So I'll put a little bit of a maybe on that, but it's not officially part of the program. However, if they do want to be involved in other ways, you'll see the QR code on the kind of the bottom right one. We do have a program manager WhatsApp group for Victorian program managers. And so your team's welcome to join that as well. You can put in a request through that QR code. Myself and some of the other team will check that every week or so and add new members there as well. And future cohorts, we're absolutely hoping that there will be. We very much intend to run this more than once. And depending on demand, we'll kind of guide whether that's a yearly thing or whether we do it sooner. I'm going to jump to some of the questions in the chat and then I can come back to the FAQs if we need. So question from Lisa. I manage a couple of accelerator programs on behalf of the Australian government, which are open to applicants from across Australia. While we have participants from Victoria, they do not make up 80%. Does that make me ineligible? Unfortunately, for this cohort, we are looking for Victorian programs primarily. So Lisa, happy to chat a little bit more and understand, but for this cohort, it is meant to be the 80%. I assume that you're based in Victoria, so that so if you're looking to kind of join the community, in the meantime, the program manager WhatsApp is a great way to still kind of get really plugged in and involved with the rest of the Victorian program manager community, and then hopefully for future cohorts we'll be able to expand a little bit from there. Keep putting questions in the chat. I think I've probably covered this. I'm not ready for Nova yet. How can I stay up to date? We do have the mailing list. And again, if you're Victorian based, the WhatsApp group, you're welcome to join. And then in terms of how many places are available, so we are looking at approximately 20 places for this cohort. Again, I'm talking to a bunch of program managers, so hopefully this is not overly surprising, but we're trying to build a cohort that obviously isn't too large and kind of makes sense together. There is another question. So our cohort launches at the end of September. Does that affect the application? I assume end of September is end of September as in next month, as opposed to next year. That's totally fine. So when we say we're looking for the actively running or designing a program, that is completely fine and actually would probably be perfect timing for you as far as being able to apply your learnings. I guess the question for you to kind of think about is just your capacity to participate while actively launching a program, but it absolutely is fine from an eligibility perspective. So yeah, very welcome to apply, Safi. Do we have any other questions in the from the room? And if you do kind of jump off of this webinar after and go, I do have a question. If you head to the Nova page, there is an inquiry form down the bottom. You're also welcome to email programs@launchvic.org, and we'll kind of jump on those generally within the day if we can. As a reminder, applications are open, and I might even jump back to this slide. Applications are open until the 1st of September. So you've got until 1 p.m. on the 1st of September. We won't be able to accept any past the due date or past the time even. So do make sure that you get them in on time. And again, you'll need to complete the full application form. The only kind of exception to that is you're able to tick that button saying I'm still getting my exec or sponsorship support, but then that one will need by the time we make the final decision on the cohort. Any other questions from the room? Hopefully the smaller number of questions is it all just makes sense and we're ready to go. But like I said, if you do have further questions later down the track, feel free to reach out. All right, we just had another one come through from Anton. So I'm not associated with any unis. We have a program in design. Is this still applicable? Absolutely. So this is not just for universities. Universities are absolutely welcome as well, but it can be, you might be an investor running a program. You might be just frankly, anyone running a program, or what I kind of call a private organization running a program. So as long as you are running a pre-accelerator or accelerator program or designing one, then you're absolutely eligible. If it's in design, we do just ask that you've got something to confirm that there's a launch date and funding and it will go ahead, as opposed to it's a very early idea and we're kind of really just getting started. So as long as you've got that confirmed date, it's a pre-accelerator or an accelerator for startups. You don't have to be associated with the unis. Any program is applicable there. Ideal applicant for the NOVA program. So, I mean, and we think about the eligibility criteria, which, if I remember right, was the selection criteria, not eligibility. I think for us, it's firstly being able to hit all of these things. So are you at a point in your journey professionally and from your program perspective where we can provide support? So to me, thinking about kind of, do you have the ability to take on these learnings to redesign or tweak your existing program? Or are you kind of currently thinking about design from scratch potentially, but you have that date? And kind of really, for us, it's making sure that we're able to support. So does that point in time make sense? And are the things that you're looking to learn aligned with the topics? I mean, that's really it as far as ideal applicant. I don't think there's any kind of one perfect persona that we're looking for. And that's kind of where the cohort mix criteria comes in as well. We are looking for a diverse mix in this cohort across all types of programs and all stages of the journey, so that the cohort can learn from each other. So it's not, I know that's probably not the most helpful answer that you're looking for, but there's not one person. It's more about, does it make sense for you and where you're at in your journey? And can we see that you've thought about that as well? Question from Anna, to be clear, the intensive on 13th and 14th is mandatory? Yes. So the full program days are mandatory, and then the masterclasses you can pick and choose. Now, technically you're still eligible to apply if you can't make it. It'll feed into that capacity to participate question. So depending how much of it you're not able to make, I'll leave it up to you if you'd like to apply still and kind of just tick that box and give us a little bit more explanation. But yes, the program day 1, 2, 3, and 4, which were all kind of, if I go back to here, these kind of green ones, these full days are all compulsory to graduate. And then the master classes 1 through 7, you just need to pick and choose 4 of them. Shannon has asked if 2 people from the same organisation can attend. Yes, we haven't actually put any restrictions on number from the one organisation. It'll feed a little bit into, again, some of those criteria around, does it make sense as a cohort mix? Of course, we're probably not going to take, I mean, it will depend who applies, but it's unlikely we would take 5 or 6 from the same organisation in a cohort of 20. But we haven't officially put a restriction on that. Liz, with funding, can it be paid for by participants rather than having external funding? Yes. So I assume, Liz, that you're referring to the eligibility criteria of, which I have here, of actively running or in the process of designing with confirmed launch date and secured funding, though correct me if that's not the case. Yeah, secured funding can be a plan to make it like a plan for people to pay. What we're looking for there is really evidence that the program will run, as opposed to it's an idea and then I'm going to spend the next 2 years trying to get a way to get it off the ground. So if that means participants from your programs paying for it, that's fine as well. How's the 80% fixed startups measured? Is it for my upcoming program cohort or all program participants behind? I've run 3 programs to date, and the cohort is from Australia-wide. So we are looking for kind of, this one, it's not strictly has to be the most recent cohort, because we do expect there will be some participants in NOVA that have that are designing a program, and so then that would be kind of the plan too. So if you have historically not met 80%, but you do intend to for the next one, we would be looking for some sort of evidence for that for the next program to make you eligible. If you've run cohorts previously and say the last one was greater than 80%, then we would just be looking to, and if you, in the guidelines on page 6 it is, we've got a definition of Victorian based and what that means as a startup. So Victorian headquartered or registered companies. For early stage, it's a little bit more, the founders live in Victoria. So we're looking to see that kind of about 80% of the cohort meets that bar. It could be from most recent cohort, or if you have some sort of evidence to suggest that the next cohort will meet that bar, that can work as well. Great. I might give a couple seconds for any further questions to come through. Otherwise, we'll be able to give everyone a little bit of time back this morning, potentially. I'm just going to double check that we haven't missed any. I think we are. Oh, there was one on the strictness of the requirement to be running a pre-accelerator or accelerator. Fiona, it probably will depend a little bit what you're running. If the program's designed kind of in a way that it should be applicable to, I guess, I'm assuming you're talking more about like a venture studio or an incubator or something like that. There's a few modules and things like that on recruitment and of participants. So it kind of depends whether you follow parts of that model or not. Have a look at the definitions in the guidelines on kind of pre-accelerator, accelerator. If you think you're kind of on the edge, happy to have a more of a conversation based on your circumstances if you can fall into one of those buckets, and then go from there. But yeah, I'd suggest have a look at those pre-accelerator, accelerator definitions. It doesn't really, I mean, accelerator in particular, it doesn't have to be a cohort that starts and stops. There's a little bit of flexibility in it to be like rolling base. But yeah, feel free to reach out with a little bit more specificity if you want to kind of test that eligibility. Scott, question on the masterclasses. They're going to be a mix of face-to-face and online. We haven't actually defined which ones will be face-to-face or online yet. With this cohort being the first one, we do want to actually kind of include the participants of NOVA in a little bit of that design. So we're looking to the cohort to kind of get a sense of whether there's more face-to-face or more online would work. But we're looking to have it about 50-50 and kind of every second one, just to kind of make it a bit more accessible. But if we jump into it and then the cohort wants them all face-to-face, there's room for us to do that as well. Will a program targeting scale-up still be considered? Yeah, we're open to that as well. So as long as you can kind of fit into that, like broadly the definitions of pre-accelerator, accelerator, it could be that falls into more of like a later stage accelerator. But yeah, open to considering a program that targeting scale-ups. And again, if you do want to provide more details about kind of specifically what your program is, you're welcome to email the program's email, and we can provide some more clarity on that as well. Brilliant. I think then we've probably covered all of the questions that I can see. So I'll give kind of like 5 more seconds, but then we might call time. And like I said, any further questions, you are more than welcome to send them through later and we will answer them as we go. And applications, as we said, open until the 1st of September. So looking forward to it. Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining this morning.